So hi everyone, today in this video we're gonna talk about another beast that people tend to suffer, and this beast obviously comes with our marathon trying to approach all the beasts that makes you have base type of decisions which so brings to you bad outcomes for our life. I already hope you to subscribe and seeing other videos after seeing that one, always with the objective to make you a better person. And then so what's gonna be the beast that we're gonna talk today? The illusion of clustering. So why we see patterns that doesn't exist. So what's the best way probably to look for it? As happens with other videos, always trying to explaining using examples of the real life that so can make to you more illustrative about how these bees can hack and if obviously have effect on you, and when you're more susceptible and how to overcome it. And then so the best type of question you can do is, have you ever looked at the night sky and told yourself a meaningful shape among the stars? That's something that happens. Some of the people they tend to look for the sky and they see some figures. And then, so why it's important? Or noticed probably other type of things are better to being shown and to demonstrate to you these bees. Probably have you ever probably so noticed a lucky streak when playing a game of chains? Sometimes it's something that can happen, or you might be falling on the clustering illusion. It's like you're kind of falling that exists meaning for what you seeing it, and you attribute to causes that probably they are not something that matches with happens in reality. It's like in being in a chess game and believing that we're going and we're kind of know what's going to happen in the future just because we're having a lucky streak that I'm kind of so having the ability to know what's going to be all the choices that are like the ones that's going to gonna go off from the game, like I do gambling and I know if gonna be red or black or green. It's like having it, and by getting a small sample size, that's obviously it's truth, it's a sample, but the reality is that this sample is not representative from the conclusion that I want to take. It's like looking for the sky and saying that someone that is up is sending a message by putting a pattern in the thing in the so the stars that wants so the persons to read and kind of got the message. Why not send that can be randomness? Why not probably so instead of taking already this conclusion, looking for all the nights and seeing if it's always possible to see a pattern that so can be something that can create the hypothesis that's more kind of strong than something out of normal is kind of so influencing what we see and the pattern that the star takes. It's basically like is random dots on a screen slowly connecting to form an imaginary shape. It's something that happens as well, and it is an example that I have used for the sky, and something that we got a tendency to attribute like a pattern to make like sense from something that can be attributed to randomness. It's like our natural tendency of attributing so even can be like a type of happening that's not something that's common, and then so we already have the tendency to attribute that as a specific meaning that gives so logical to this specific happen being present, other than just a setting that can be randomness. And this, so I give the example of seeing the stars. I can give other examples of happenings that so are where the conspiracy theories they kind of so appear is based a lot in some type of phenomena that seem to be too good to be true, and then it's more easier and our brain likes more to attribute coming from. So the logical reasoning, whatever is something that's probable or not, instead of accepting something that can be the most probable type of cause from the happening or of the behavior that was the runners. And then so obviously it's kind of clear what can these lead for creation of conspiracy theories that are not true. Population starts so falling it in things that if they kind of rationalize, understand that have exists like another n type of consequences or causes from what seem to be like happenings that the people are seeing it, and then obviously all people have their type of their beliefs, so we have to respect it. But coming from that is like probably the foundation of the creations of whatever is the type of religions then can be created, comes a lot from that. You seeing happenings, creating like a sense, a logical, then so it's not obviously the randomness, and then coming from that, using this as argument to build a belief that are like the basis to constructions to these conspiracy theories. And then so that's why it's important to rationalize, and is always the best way to beat the beast that people suffer is rationalize, because being beast is like almost the opposite of being someone that rationalize well. And oh, the real life examples, gambling and lottery is something that happens more today. A slot machine spinning and hitting jackpots in close succession, a person thinking a lottery number is lucky because it appeared multiple times before. So gamblers often believe they're a hot streak after winning a few times in a row, but in reality, each spin or lottery draw is independent. Like you're seeing a pattern that you're someone that can be called as the best in the world, but probably just having the look and having so the randomness playing a role. And obviously, sometimes we tend to underrate how much probable behavior then probably in terms of likelihood is low, but we tend to underestimate the number of times that it really happens, not just because it's something that's scarce. Then when it happens we have to attribute as like is almost 0%, when the reality they're most probable than just like be attributed to some type of manipulation that happens from someone out of order in terms of being much more powerful to us. And this is something that happens as well in stock market, a graph showing a stock price with random ups and downs, a trader celebrating after spotting a winning trend that is actually just random. It's just like as well some type other consequence that comes with these bees is it's just because I've done so a decision that by the context, the conditions in the context have so kind of aligned to beneficiate me, and then so my betting seems to be something that's positive, and I can attribute this success as my ability, while it just was a bit of lucky more than just my ability to predict what so will happen in the future. And so conspiracy theories, a person connecting random events with random string on a board, headlines from different years seeming to predict an event as well. That's something that happens, and that's where a problem and already can be these conspiracy theories. People so will see different years seeming to so different type of headlines predicting what could happen in the future, but probably what they're not seeing it's the other type of things that they predicted and they have failed. So randomness, obviously if you kind of hit so much for all the sides, you're probably going to hit in some specific type of person or some specific type of thing, but what they will not see is that all the other type of hits that you have failed, and then so it's more easy to, because the attention that brings me to by having predicted a specific outcome, the other ones that have not failed, they don't attract attention, and then so they will not see, and accepting that my type of hitting was just by luck and not just because I knew something that the other one's not. And then so when you're more successful, stressed out student preparing, for example, a person like for example a stressed out student preparing for exam, him no and like thinking that just because you have done some type of specific ritual, then so the exam will kind of bring so to him the matters that they were more comfortable, and then so this is something that obviously again accepting or trying to accept, trying to create a belief that something that it's just not have a cause effect was so the reason for something that I was expecting to happen did happen in the reality, and even something that's better because a stressed type of person is alright again reinforcing is the most people that are prone to suffer with this bees, people that suffer, people that are with fear, and then so stressed out students we see a lot that kind of before tests they are always trying to do all the rituals, and then so when they finish they saying that all this was predicted, all this was created because the things that they have done, all the preparation they got, so the exam kind of was the one that he was expecting in their ideal scenario. So another type of rituals that people attributes from their type of practice that in reality doesn't have effect in the large scenario. And so how to avoid this type of clustering illusion using so small sample size to make attributions that don't have foundations. First of all, what you have to understand, look at bigger picture is like one of the best things that you can do. Small samples often show misleading patterns, and I'll always analyze larger data sets before jumping to conclusions. Understanding probability, sometimes so just by we underestimating the likelihood of event, when this happens we not accept that yes can sometimes can happen, instead of so by we assume that they're like almost impossible and saying it then so was an manipulation, something type of ritual, sometimes some type of person that is too much powerful so influenciated and so manipulate the to this happen, so being something that really happened. Ask, is this pattern meaningful? Before trusting a pattern, ask, does this make logical sense, or is my brain just connecting dots randomly? So instead of just building already conspiracy theories, understand that events as much less as possible as they can be like lower in probability, there's something that happens. And so if my pattern is something that I can take as real, I have to understand if they're long enough, so which more like a trend happens, which more time is something that turns it to be more reliable, and then so it's something that's basically using, sometimes you can use like statistics to build and kind of construct your hypothesis and see so by that that you have got if you can assume that your hypothesis is true, and then so it's like a motivation for you to kind of develop your sense and then so go a bit study, because this type of clustering illusion happens for people sometimes that obviously they don't reasoning, but as well the ones that doesn't have some type of knowledge in statistics to understand how hypotheses are created and so are confirmed by the reality. And then so I expect this video has helped you to be a bit more reasonable in your talks, and it's good because it helps you to construct better beliefs. That's what ultimately I think is one of the most important predictors to your success. So I expect this video has helped you, and see you in the next one.